On the surface, Ulysses Handy seemed like just another man walking the streets of America, but behind the ordinary name lay a darkness that would eventually spill into blood. His crimes were not the work of impulse or sudden rage. They carried the cold calculation of someone who had crossed a line from man to monster. Handy's path was one marked by violence and betrayal, where human life became expendable, reduced to nothing more than a means to an end. Those who crossed his path never knew that they were staring into the eyes of a predator, a man capable of extinguishing life without hesitation. When the truth of his actions finally came to light, the details were almost too brutal to believe. Friends turned to corpses, trust turned to terror, and a community was left to grapple with the nightmare of realizing that evil had been living in their midst all along. The case of Ulysses Handy forces us to confront the chilling reality that killers do not always wear masks or lurk in shadows. Sometimes they smile, shake your hand, and walk beside you until the moment they reveal who they truly are. Classification: murderer characteristics, robbery, number of victims. Date of murder: February 7th, 2000. Date of birth: 1982. Victims profile: Darren Christian, 28, Daniel Vero, 22, and Lindy Cochran, 21. Method of murder: shooting, execution style, location: Tacoma, Washington, USA. Status: sentenced to life in prison in August 2006, Aug 31, 2006. Tacoma. A man who Pierce County prosecutors say planned the murders of 3 people pleaded guilty Wednesday in exchange for prosecutors agreeing not to seek the death penalty. Ulysses Handy III was sentenced to life in prison for the murders of Darren Christian, Daniel Vero, and Lindy Cochran, who were all shot execution style in a Tacoma house on February 7th. Under the terms of Handy's plea agreement, he cannot be paroled. Deputy Prosecutor Jerry Costello said the motive was robbery, but that the killings were not the result of a robbery gone bad. Detectives believe that the murders were planned from the beginning. A drug ripoff and execution-style killing, so, he said. As Handy stood before Judge Frank Cuthbertson, he often smiled and smirked while acknowledging his role in the murders. Guilty as charged, he said, pleading to 3 counts of aggravated first-degree murder. Richard Frost brought pictures of his niece Lindy Cochran, who was one of Handy's victims, to show the judge on Wednesday. She was only 21-year-old, Frost said through tears. My family won't ever recover from this. Mr. Handy shot her in the head while she pleaded for her life. As Frost pointed a finger at Handy standing just a few feet away, he said, I hope that somebody on the inside will get their hands on him and choke the life out of him. Relatives of the other victims applauded from the back of the courtroom, but Handy just stood by his lawyer and laughed. Court documents said that Handy and 3 others stole a safe containing cash from the victim's home before shooting them. When Handy addressed the judge, he expressed no remorse for his actions. I'm not taking this deal to escape the death penalty, he said. I'm going to prison. It's like sending a wildcat back to the jungle. He went on to say that he would have liked to get the death penalty and blamed his previous trips through the criminal justice system for the way he turned out in life. I'm not asking nobody for sympathy or pity or mercy. I know there's people up in here hurting, he said. Pain's a part of life. Deal with it. Get over it. Handy's mom then spoke up from the back of the courtroom and told her son to stop. I don't know if you can feel that justice is fully done, Judge Cuthbertson said to the victims' families. But I hope that you will feel comforted that Mr. Handy will be in prison for the rest of his life and not be able to cause any more harm to any more citizens in this community. Outside the courtroom, Handy's mother apologized to the families. I'm sorry, and there's nothing I can do to take it back, said Toshika Barnes. There's no way I can describe the pain I'm feeling to know that my son could do something like that. The 3 other alleged conspirators are still awaiting trial. Prosecutors said Siri Muhammad, 18, provided the gun, and Handy's friend Daryl Pierce served as a lookout. Pierce's girlfriend, Roni Gutierrez, allegedly drove the 3 men to Christian's home the night of the murders, and police say she also helped dispose of a safe that was stolen from the home. September 20th, 2006. Ulysses Handy III walked into court smirking Wednesday morning and remained smug as he proclaimed himself guilty as charged of 3 aggravated first-degree murder and 2 assaults. He smiled. He laughed as victims' families said they hoped he'd be killed in prison. He told the families, pain is part of life. Deal with it, get over it. Handy 24 took advantage of a plea deal Wednesday that let him escape a potential death sentence. Prosecutor Jerry Horn said he wouldn't seek Handy's death if he admitted killing Darren Christian, Daniel Vero, and Lindy Cochran in a Febom 7 robbery in a central Tacoma bungalow. That left only one sentence Pierce County Superior Court Judge Frank Cuthbertson could give Handy: life in prison without any possibility of release. Handy told Cuthbertson that he wasn't asking for any sympathy anyway because he didn't have any himself. I feel there's 2 types of people in this world, us and them predators, and Prey, Handy said. I'm damn sure not Prey. Cochran's, Vero's, and Christian's relatives tearfully tried to describe to the judge what Handy had done to them. Part of the thing that's going to keep me going the rest of my life is that somebody on the inside is going to get their hands on him and choke the life out of him, Cochran's great-uncle Richard Frost said. Handy laughed. Nobody can put into words what he's taken from the family's Christian's brother, Chris Jones said. He can smile about it, and that's fine, but everything comes full circle. And in one way or another, he'll have to answer to this other than in this courtroom. The packed second-floor court erupted in cheers as people yelled things at Handy, and then his friends yelled back at them. The judge threatened to make people leave. Deputies detained 2 men after the hearing for threatening victims' families. Varro's mother, Deborah Marching, said she knows that goodness prevails, and that there are only a few evil people in the world. I don't have room in my life and my heart for someone like him, she said. Handy, whose friends call him Mooney, knew Varro 22 and Christian 28. Cochran 21 just happened to be staying at the house at the time. Charging papers say, early February, 7 Handy drove to the house with 3 friends but went in and killed Varro, Christian, and Cochran by himself as others stood guard. Handy, who said pain had been the only constant in his life, only hinted in court about why he'd killed the 3. I know why I did what I did, he said. It wasn't over no money. It wasn't over a jacket. And it ain't no secret who or what I am. I never covered that up, never tried to. I shoot people, kill people, all that other good stuff only when I'm provoked. Vengeance, karma, whatever you want to call it. People cross me, I did what I did. And that's not going to change. Handy blamed his inability to feel anything on the 8 years he spent in prison for hitting a man over the head with a baseball bat. I went into prison a kid, Handy said. Whatever love or compassion or mercy or sympathy I had, prison took that away from me. Anything I was died a long time ago. In addition to the 7 murders, Handy pleaded guilty to a robbery at the house. He also pleaded guilty to an unrelated first-degree assault for shooting a man in the stomach on October 21. Another first-degree assault for shooting a man who beeped his car horn at him on January 8 and unlawfully possessing guns. Prosecutors dismissed a child molestation charge in which Handy was accused of giving a young girl herpes. They also dismissed charges against Handy's fiancée for first-degree rendering criminal assistance. 3 other people are still charged in the murders. Cuthbertson told him, "The only thing I have to say is that I know the community, even if you don't regret the pain your acts have caused." Outside court, Handy's mother, Toshika Barnes, begged the victims' families for forgiveness. She said Handy had been raised Catholic with good schooling. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed, hugging Marching. "Please accepted my apology. He was not raised that way. I just pray that the Lord will touch his soul because this apology should come from him." No regrets, confessed killer says in jailhouse interview. September 21st, 2000, Tacoma Wash. Ulysses Handy says he was a Boy Scout and an altar boy, but he also admits he's a killer with no regrets. It was the triple murder that stunned Tacoma last February. Now the man who admits pulling the trigger tells only Cairo 7 Eyewitness News why he did it. Ulysses Handy says he went to the small house near the University of Puget Sound campus, knowing he was there to kill his friends. When the moment came, he murdered them in cold blood. Ulysses Handy says, "I came back, talked to DC, Darren Christian a little more, kissed him, and then that was it." Cairo 7's Kevin McCarty asked, "Kissed him on Handy?" McCarty, "And then oh Handy, that was it." McCarty, "Then you shot him." Handy nods. It's hard to get a direct answer from Ulysses Handy III, but in this jailhouse interview with Cairo 7, the 24-year-old Handy admits he shot and killed 28-year-old Darren Christian, 20-year-old Daniel Varro, and 21-year-old Lindy Cochran at Christian's Tacoma home. Handy says he was angry with Christian, known as DC, over what he calls a betrayal. He says he murdered both Cochran and Varro after shooting Christian because they were now witnesses. Handy describes the moment he shot the 3 victims. Dan Varro turned around, looked at me, looked at DC, shot him in the neck, shot him in the head. Lindy Cochran got up, looked at me, shot her too. McCarty. "What were you thinking at that moment?" Handy, nothing at all. Handy's answers was laced with profanities, and he rarely addressed issues directly. He says he has no regrets about committing murder. McCarty, "Glad you did it." Handy responds, "No, I didn't want to expletive be this way, but can't have everything we want." McCarty. "What's the last thing you'd say to people before you go away?" Handy laughs and says, "The truth. I don't bite my tongue. Anybody got a problem with what I do? Anybody got a problem with what I say, they can expletive. If I'm going to hell, I'll see a lot of people there." September 21st, 2000. Tensions were high in a Tacoma courtroom Wednesday when a man who pleaded guilty to killing 3 people told the victims' families to get over it. Ulysses Handy 24 will spend the rest of his life in prison after pleading guilty to murder charges to avoid a possible death penalty. He shot 28-year-old Darren Christian, 20-year-old Daniel Varro, and 21-year-old Lindy Cochran to death in February during a robbery at a Tacoma home. The 3 were his friends. Handy smirked in court as relatives of the victims talked about their loss. When it was his turn to speak, Handy said he was asking for no sympathy because he doesn't have any. Handy showed no remorse as he addressed the court Wednesday. "I feel there's 2 types of people in this world, us and them, predator and prey. Well, I'm damn sure not a prey, so I know there's people up in here hurt. Well, pain's a part of life, deal with it, get over it. Pain has been the only constant that's been in my life from my earliest memory. Oh well, I can't hurt no more, Handy said. As Handy addressed the court, blaming his crimes on the pain he suffered as a child, his mother stood up and interrupted. Tasheka Barnes's outburst put an end to her son's statement, and he then pleaded guilty to the murders. The court cheered when a family member spoke, the News Tribune reported. Nobody can put into words what he's taken from the families, Christian's brother Chris Jones said. He can smile about it, and that's fine, but everything comes full circle. And in one way or another, he'll have to answer to this other than in this courtroom. As friends and family of the victims spoke, Handy would laugh or stare directly at them. Handy's behavior prompted an outburst as the uncle of Lindy Cochran faced Handy while making his address in court. But I wish I had the opportunity to trip the gallows that would stretch his sorry neck. And part of the thing that is going to keep me going the rest of my life is that somebody will get their hands on him on the inside and choke the life out of him. For the coward that he is, go ahead and laugh about it, you chicken you see, Robert Frost said. Deputies detained two of Handy's friends outside the Pierce County courtroom after they exchanged words with victim family members. The News Tribune reported that the two friends threatened the victims' family members. Outside the courtroom, Barnes Handy's mother spoke to the families of the victims. I feel your pain, but there's no way I can describe the pain I'm feeling to know that my son can do something like that. Barnes said, he's my son and I love him unconditionally, but do not think that's the child I raised. He is not like that. He's not. And I'm sorry, I just can't stop apologizing. Daniel Varro's mother, Deborah Marching, said the apology from the mother of her son's killer helped, but she has no pity for Handy. I think that there's something that he's lacking a soul, and I don't blame her, Marching said. Handy also pleaded guilty to a robbery at the house, an unrelated first-degree assault for shooting a man in the stomach on October 21, another first-degree assault for shooting a man who honked his car horn at him on Jan. 8 and unlawfully possessing guns, the News Tribune reported. The paper also reported that prosecutors dismissed a child molestation charge against Handy after he was accused of giving a young girl herpes. No regrets killer says. Ulysses Handy said he was a Boy Scout and an altar boy, but he also admits he's a killer with no regrets. It was the triple murder that stunned Tacoma last February. Recently, the man who admits pulling the trigger talked to Seattle TV station Cairo TV. Handy said he went to the small house near the University of Puget Sound campus knowing he was there to kill his friends. When the moment came, he murdered them. Ulysses Handy said, I came back, talked to DC. Darren Christian a little more kissed him, and then that was it. He said he kissed him, and then he shot him. Handy said he was angry with Christian over what he calls a betrayal. He said he murdered both Cochran and Varro after shooting Christian because they were now witnesses. Handy described the moment he shot the three victims. Dan Varro turned around, looked at me, looked at DC, shot him in the neck, shot him in the head. Lindy Cochran got up, looked at me, shot her too. When asked what he was thinking at the moment, Handy said nothing. Nothing at all. He said he has no regrets about committing murder. I didn't want to expletive be this way, but can't have everything we want, Handy said. Anybody got a problem with what I do? Anybody got a problem with what I say they can expletive? If I'm going to hell, I'll see a lot of people there. July 10th, 2007. Are evil people born or made? Ulysses Handy was 24 when he walked into a friend's home in Tacoma Wash. Looking to steal money he knew was there. He shot Darren Christian and Daniel Varro at point-blank range and then turned his gun on a total stranger, unarmed and defenseless 21-year-old Lindy Cochran. When questioned about her reaction and asked whether she had begged for her life, Handy said, she didn't say a damn word, she was shell-shocked. He explained that her terror didn't set him back at all. He continued, I feel there are two kinds of people in the world, us and them. Predator and prey. Well, I'm damn sure not no prey. No remorse. Handy was arrested and pleaded guilty. At his sentencing, he spoke to the victims' families. I know there's people here hurt. Yeah, well, pain is a part of life. Deal with it, get over it. According to Handy, he felt no compassion for the family members of his victims. Man, there ain't nothing I could say could take away their pain or make it a little easier to deal with. They gone and they ain't coming back, he said. Cochran's great-uncle, Richard Frost, expressed his feelings toward Handy in the courtroom at the sentencing. The part that can keep me going the rest of my life is the hope that somebody on the inside will get their hands on him and choke the life out of him while he's whimpering like the coward he is. For Frost, knowing that Handy would spend his life in prison was not enough. It did not offer him any satisfaction. By pleading guilty, Handy avoided death row. He is almost a year into 3 consecutive life sentences, and he has spent some of that time covering himself in jailhouse tattoos, a pentagram, the word sadistic, and the number 6666 on his chest with devil horns above his eyes, becoming a killer. I wonder what is it that drives him to feel that he needs to advertise that he's a sadist to everyone around him, said forensic psychiatrist Michael Wellner, the developer of the depravity scale. The defiance of the hardened persona could be one of 3 things. You're dealing with illness, brute contempt for others, or bravado, Wellner said. I would have every reason to believe that he's terrified, because when you take his gun away, how scary is he? Handy was not scary at all as a child. He was raised by a loving and devout single mother in New Orleans. I went to Catholic schools all my life, and I was an honor student, Boy Scouts, all that. The choir, I went to catechism, First Communion, and after a while that wasn't me. It didn't give me pleasure, he said. Handy explained that he felt lonely and misunderstood as a child, feelings he says contributed to his violent behavior as he grew up. Something just never felt quite right to me, this internal pain, and I always felt that no one else feels my pain. But I can give you a small taste of it, a small taste. If I hurt you, that pain you feel can't compare to mine. And I'm not alone anymore. Payback after death. So what happens to Handy when he dies? The church he rejected believes that he is destined for hell unless he calls out to God for forgiveness. And if he does, Catholics say he will do time in purgatory before he gets to heaven. Monsignor Jim Lasante from the Roman Catholic Church in New York said of purgatory, "It's a place of atonement, and it means you are paying back in some way. I have to believe that means that it's not a pleasant experience. You are forgiven, but you gotta pay." Eastern religions also believe in a temporary hell where Handy would burn off bad karma before reincarnation. Jews don't give much definition to the afterworld, but Muslims are quite specific. Someone like Handy will drink molten copper in the pits of Jehannam. But for evangelical Christians, justice in hell can be avoided altogether with one simple prayer. The Reverend Tom Brown, an evangelical pastor from the Word of Life Church, says that for a person who has lived a wicked life, but if he turns to God and says, "Lord, I am sorry," and he truly repents, God will not remember his past wickedness, but only his present righteousness. For a grieving relative, this notion can be hard to accept. Regarding the pain Handy's act has added to his life, Frost said, "If there's a hell, he's going there. And you hear people talking about demons on earth, guardian angels. If there are demons, he's one of them. And if he were to have a jailhouse conversion," Frost said, "it would matter somewhat. It would matter somewhat." Handy's mother has said she wants more than anything else for him to have a change of heart and apologize to the families of the people he killed. Handy's response was unapologetic. "Look, man, like I said before, if I was going to be sorry for what I was going to do, I wouldn't have did it in the first place." He also has little concern for his soul. "If I go to hell, then so be it. Then so be it." When the verdict was finally read and Ulysses Handy's fate sealed the courtroom, exhaled a sigh of relief. But outside those walls, the scars of his violence remained. For the families of his victims, justice could never bring back what was stolen. Their loved ones reduced to memories by the cold hands of a man they once thought they knew. What makes Handy's story so terrifying is not just the blood he spilled, but the mask he wore. He walked among neighbors, friends, and acquaintances, hiding the monster beneath a human face. Evil did not creep in from the dark, it lived quietly next door, waiting for its chance to strike. Long after his sentence, the questions still echo: how many warning signs were ignored? How close did others come to sharing the same fate, and how could anyone commit such atrocities with such calm cruelty? Handy's name may be locked in the archives of true crime, but his shadow lingers as a chilling reminder. In the end, his story is not only about murder, it is about the fragile illusion of safety, shattered in an instant. Because sometimes the most horrifying killer is not a stranger, but someone who smiles as he hides the knife.